Hey folks, welcome to the Market Internal Review for August 4th, 2023. We're going to start by taking a look here at SPY. We had a roughly $1.82 gap. To start the day off, we had a very nice New York Stock Exchange. Most of the stocks were in advancement to start the day. The volume was in the bullish zone. Average tick closures on the uptrend with a strong setup on tick. Definitely a lot of energy right out of the open. Starting off the morning, we had quite the tight clustering of price right above the daily gap. Now we had Wednesday's TiWAP price, which was 451.27ish, and I'm watching for any kind of weakness with this strong tick. In past videos, I've mentioned strong tick breaks. 800,000 can signal the end of a strong move, and seeing that we had a strong tick here and we made this price and another strong tick here, and we made, albeit a higher price from here, but we did not make a higher high from this low bear really zero neutral tick. I don't even want to call that a bear tick, but that gave me kind of a suspicion here that maybe we could do a little gap test. So I'm just kind of waiting. I am excited to see a trend signaling an imbalance with these white dots. Once I saw this bar here, we engulfed darn near every candle of the open. We smack dab right into the second deviation TiWAP price. Notice the very clean action. I'm going to turn all the bands off here. So right here we have the third level upper standard deviation price line from yesterday's range, 451.73. Look at how clean all these candles are right here. We break that down and we stop right on yesterday's TiWAP price. So watching this, I'm looking for the tick closures. Are we going to cross zero? Are we going to start actually printing some real bearish ticks that are breaking the 500 down? We're going to start seeing 800 or 1,000 on the negative side. Are we actually going to fully reverse and complete this bear reversal on price and the volume? Or are we going to hold this and start to head back up? As soon as I saw this set of candles here, that's when I had a much more confident outlook that we were headed right back up. Keep in mind, by this point in price, we're looking at 800 stocks in advancement, and we're not quite in a strong bullish zone on the volume, but we are certainly way above zero. And the advancement of the New York Stock Exchange is quickly heading back up. The band, you can see it's brightening here. That is indicating that the New York Stock Exchange set of advancing stocks is back on the rise. Now this is occurring while the price on SPY is in a tight range here. I see this kind of thing for a reversal, cluster of candles basing right over a key level from TiWAP in the midst of a lot of bullish activity, bullish tick, bullish price, bullish volume. And trend is telling us that price can run. Now, typically, I do not like setting up a reversal trade when trend is signaling an imbalance. I would much rather see this setup occur during a balance. That's when mean reversions are more commonplace. And statistically, I find they're more likely to be successful. But I'm seeing so much here as far as price itself. The gap has been filled on this last wick, the daily gap. So at the very least, grabbing down here and trying to at least acquire first standard deviation zone, maybe TiWAP, maybe the top of the gap, see what we can get, right? So I'm going to remove replay here. So this worked. We rocket back up, starting to see heavy bullish tick again. The bands for added volt are signaling the bullish sentiment is back on track. The trend is flipping back to the bull side, and we reclaim TiWAP. We do eventually, a good hour later, almost 2 hours later, make a bullish break over the first standard deviation, and we even start climbing higher. Now, all of this action here over the third standard deviation line from yesterday's TiWAP price has me a little bit concerned. I fully will admit that I expected us to make it to about 453 and change and just kind of settle for the rest of the day. So I'm looking for somewhere within that third deviation up at the top and just ending the week on a high note. I mentioned in my last video, Tuesday or Wednesday is typically the high or the low of the week. I anticipated that the low may have been made per Wednesday right here at about 449. In fact, we had a gap down on Thursday and hit a lower low of 447.4. When we finished higher on the day and actually closed into the daily gap on Thursday, I was more confident that upside was what we were going to see on Friday, maybe a little flat after some uptrend. But definitely there were some interesting things that really kind of had me shaken up as to how the day should be traded. So I got a little piece of this. I had less confidence that we were going to see this much of a price hike, given what I was seeing on trend, and I'll show you here on the raw charts in a moment. And you can already kind of see it down here. If you've been following my videos, you understand what this value means. So around, I think about 1 actually, there was an announcement from JP Morgan regarding the recession, and that's about when all hell broke loose. We didn't have any extreme tick closures on the upside, but we had plenty of bullish action, very little bear action. And I have mentioned in the past on Twitter or X now and other videos that when we see essentially a no-show from one side of tick, that can be scary. That's usually a setup for the opposing direction. But I really much rather take trades in favor of add and volt. So in this case, on a Friday, I'd much rather take trades that are on the bullish side of things. About 1 o'clock, we start to see something. We get a breakdown of first standard deviation, and we start to see things tightening up. We see another bullish breakdown right into TiWAP. We retest this third upper deviation level, not once, but twice. By this point, the add and the volt price and the volume are bearish. They are flipping their trend by 1:30. One of my favorite times. We are crossing down the zero line for average tick closures. Now you see from a clear bullish tick day, all of a sudden the bulls are gone. We're getting all this weak bullish action, and now about here we're starting to print our candle highs. That's what these green histogram marks are. Our candle highs are now below zero. So you see over here there's no green, it's just red. That means the candle high was over zero the whole time. Down here though, the candle high is below zero. It couldn't even make it above zero. We get a little bit here, not too much, right? We're losing the TiWAP. TiWAP is darkening. It's turning red. Everything here is started telling you the whole sentiment thing. It's flipping bearish. Even the bands start to flatten because we're getting ready to change direction. It's really a beautiful setup. This end of the day, well, this isn't even really the end of the day. Midday fade setup. I see this. I've seen this often. Then we see a bunch of different little bright dots here on the odd band. This is an unsustained attempt for price to advance. It continues to fail. Then finally, we just go flat dark. The 20 SMA is brightening for the bears, and we see very weak attempts for any kind of reclaim up here on the price. Barely, we can't even break 500 anymore. So clear sentiment setup for the bears, and then all hell breaks loose. Now, we did not get a proper first standard deviation low break and re-entry retest for a short setup, but we did receive it for TiWAP. So we have a break and retest setup right here, and boy, it delivered. Now, in past videos, I've also mentioned that the range of the previous day's TiWAP, when we start around there, that's the direction I expect the price to go. So in this case, the setup was for the bear side because all the range of TiWAP from yesterday is below us. Now, personally, like I said, I was expecting this to end a little bit higher today, around 453, I think is what I put on X, and we had that dip into the range, and we tested Thursday's TiWAP, and we started to go higher. So by that point, I had hit the trades that I wanted to hit, and I thought it was done. When I heard this news and I started to see all of this, I definitely I came back on and did a couple of trades. I definitely double dipped on this, just grabbing little pieces, because when you see this kind of tick, there's no telling how much more you're going to see of it. And the add and volt bands are technically still green. When the add and the volt hit zero, when they hit their 200, there's usually a reaction. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. So I don't know where all those values are. This is just such a quick thing, and I'm just taking my little bites out of it. But yeah, so we get these extreme tick moves, and we're breaking down and retesting darn near perfectly all of these little TWAP lines. Or sometimes we'll have a hesitant move right around here. It's not as clean. Clearly, whatever I've captured with TWAP and aligned this indicator to, can become fuzzy whenever there's news involved. But notice where we end up at the end of the day. We end at the third deviation lower price from Thursday's TWAP on the nose. So very clean price action right on these levels. We retest this one, we break down, and we fail to make it any lower. So very clean overall. I'm still daily just amazed and thrilled by this indicator. Looking at trend, here you can probably tell why I was sussed out at this price action today. So this is technically the bearish, potentially oversold zone, and we annihilated it today early. When we had that dump in the morning, I'm seeing us break 1.5 and just go right on through. This is incredibly bearish. But yet, if you recall, by 1040, we're starting to break back up. We reclaimed TWAP by 1040, and we're headed higher. So it was shocking to me. Now by 1050, we're under the 20 SMA on trend. That does give some room, and yes, the 20 SMA works on these. I've seen it I don't know how many times, but quite bizarre. because the whole day, if you look at add, it's in the bearish side, or bullish side up until here. it's making an uptrend. The New York Stock Exchange is in an uptrend. There are stocks advancing on the whole, and we even actually crossed 1,500. 1,500 stocks out of roughly 2,000 are in advancement on the day. The volt itself, we actually broke from zero. We based and we broke through into the bullish zone. So this all lines up. But then something happens, right? Jamie Dimon comes out and says no recession, and apparently that means the market's going to sell off. I think there was probably something else, but we just don't know what it is, would be my guess, but I could be wrong. Either way, per trend, I feel like this whole market was tricked today. Because I don't know that I could really claim that trend was saying it was an oversold market, while SPY is advancing and the New York Stock Exchange is advancing. So I'm not sure if trend was just off today. I know it can be skewed or what, but a crazy time. Looking at different lens here, my multi-time frame TiWAP analysis. I'm going to hide MIT. We don't need that on here. I'll hide my drawings for the moment. Still proving to be an incredibly effective measurement tool for intraday trading, for sentiment. When we gapped up and I see where we open, look at what we reject. We perfectly reject the monthly TiWAP. Granted, that's just for August. We're only 4 days in, but look at that. Perfectly rejected, bounced the first standard deviation low. Also happens to be this wick dang near touches the July ending monthly TiWAP price of 448.72. We finally break back up that whole time we spent advancing, and I'm watching that tight cluster of candles, and I see us just basing right here at August monthly TiWAP. And I just laugh, like it's crazy how accurate this is. Where we rejected before the news announcement, from what I can tell anyways, is roughly right where the weekly TiWAP was. It's just so crazy to see this. But that's exactly where we halted the upside for the day. And then these green lines are the weekly TiWAP from last week, ending standard deviation prices. And we have a little base here, all these wicks touching right on the cent. I mean, what's the low of this candle? 452.13. Okay, 452.11. What's this one? 452.10. 452.09. I mean, come on, that's that's crazy to me. Then we bear engulf this monthly TiWAP line. We rebase and retest it. We wick it and just start heading on down. It's mind-boggling how accurate this is. Even this wick here taps the July monthly TiWAP. So, man, this was amazing to see to me, and certainly surprised that we made a lower low on a Friday, literally with an hour left, a couple hours left maybe. Crazy market, man. Absolutely crazy market. So I'm really not sure what to expect this next week. As far as the month goes, boy, I was really hoping that we were going to clear the monthly TiWAP and start a little upside, get this train rolling again. But that's just not what was in store, I suppose. So this was a pretty nasty dump. I'm probably gonna watch futures on Sunday, see what that's all about. But yeah, I mean, tons of names just started dumping at the end. Um, we broke lower standard deviation on the monthly. End of the second, Qs, same thing. Um, they rejected their weekly TiWAP as well. A little noisier than SPY. I don't know why SPY seems to have the best alignment to the market internals, but it does. That's why I watch it the most. Um, but yeah, I mean, on the monthly, they're even in the second deviation, the lower second deviation. The Russell, essentially the same thing. They did have a much stronger upside move per standard deviation. They did a full reversion all the way to first deviation high before giving it all back. And this noise is all right around this first standard deviation low. The Dow, I did not look at all day. Oh, nasty. Oh, man. Oof, nasty. So the Dow has been pretty strong. I mean, so is the Russ, but they gave up first and almost second deviation on the month. Whew. That's crazy. Chips, we've had so much bullish chip movement. And, okay, they held first standard deviation. What about Spider Tech? Ooh, yeah, second deviation low. I've been hearing nasty things about banks lately, missing deposits. They were actually on an incline today. They went second deviation high all the way back to second deviation low. They were above their monthly TWAP. What about consumer discretionary XLY? Okay, so they're still up. Wow, look at that gap up. That's a fantastic. What is that gap up? Oh my god. I actually have a swing on these, but I didn't really pay much attention. $4, almost $5 gap up on XLY. That's incredible. So they're pretty strong. That's good. All right. Yeah, I don't have anything over the weekend with what happened just now with the Fitch and the JPM garbage. I know Trump's whole indictment, and there's just a bunch of political BS. It's hard to say what this weekend is going to bring and how it's going to affect the week. All I know is the market internals. I've I could not refute that they read the price action. They read the stock exchange like a book today and presented everything for the most part abundantly clear, save for maybe trend, just the values itself. Um, when I see those high numbers, I think overbought or oversold, and or if we're headed there from the bullish side, then I would think selling off short. So the skew definitely played with my mind today. I will admit that. So I'm always learning. Always learning. I am playing around with some different versions of MIT. I have one that's set up where every internal that I measure is set up like an RSI. So I will be creating a video for that when I'm finished building it. I'm also working on some algorithms, algos as people like to call them, where you actually receive long and short sentiment just to assist in people's ability to read this. So yeah, stay tuned. Definitely some exciting things coming up. And I have a TWAP update that I'm going to be publishing if I can get some time this weekend, just so that everyone has the latest copy. I've personally been testing some updates, so I'm really excited to publish those and share those out there. I have a couple of other videos that I'm still behind on editing for gap zones, for couple of different indicators that I have published, one just recently. So lots of exciting stuff going on at Trade Seekers. I hope you're enjoying the content. I'm sure maybe it's getting a little repetitive with all the market internal reviews, but my intent is to share how to read these and how to understand which side of the market you should be on, and potentially where you can enter from a statistical probability standpoint, and where you might look to take some trims or exits. So hopefully you're all enjoying the content. Stay tuned. Hope you had a great week. Hope you have a good weekend. And as always, thanks for watching. Happy trading.